Welcome back to Rascals Crafts. I'm Chuck, and we're going to do something a little different today. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to do something that's extremely simple, but a lot of people are afraid to try it. And what that is I'm going to smoke a brisket. I've done this recipe many times. I received this recipe, and the way of doing it from a website called Hey Grill Hey. It is run by a young lady by the name of Susie and her husband. She does all kinds of smoked and grilled foods. I have yet to have a bad recipe from that site. Another great thing about Susie and Hey Grill Hey is that when she tells you to use her spice blend, doesn't mean you have to go out and buy it, because she will give you the recipe for the spice blend. And you can make your own, and you can modify it however you want. That's the great thing about doing briskets and things like that. So let's get started. That's the brisket. This brisket is, let's see here, 14.5 pounds. Bought it at Costco. It is U.S. prime beef. Okay, here's what we're going to need to do. We're going to need to have a sheet pan. A little bit of tin foil. And a cutting board. We need to trim this bad boy. Okay? Okay, first we're going to start out with a nice sharp knife. And we're going to take the brisket out of the package. Now this brisket, another thing I like about Costco meats, is it is vacuum sealed. So there is absolutely no way any kind of bacteria or anything like that could have gotten into this after it left the meat packing plant. So I'm going to go ahead and get this ready. Okay, one thing about brisket that you should know: it's not fast. Once I start the actual cook process, it's going to take 18 hours. 18 hours in the smoker. But you don't want it ice cold. You don't want the meat cold when it goes into the smoker, because it takes longer for it to warm up and it throws off the timing. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and prep this. Now, because I want to eat this tomorrow for dinner, 5 o'clock or so, I have to start this around 11 o'clock tonight. So again, you got to be dedicated. Okay? I don't know if you've noticed, but I've got some little patches and things here, and one that's called the Grill Squad. On Hey Grill Hey, she does do, there is a program that you can sign up for, and it is a one-time charge, and you can take video master classes on making items. And currently she has 4 of them: brisket, ribs, chicken, pulled pork. Once you've taken all of them, or once you've taken the classes, cook the food and send her pictures of what you've done, she sends you the little patches. That's kind of neat. Okay, so we're going to trim this up. You want an even layer of fat through the whole thing. You don't want a lot of it here and a little bit here. If you take a look at a brisket, you'll see it's got pretty good chunks of fat on it. Well, again, you don't want all of that fat. So we're going to go through and we're going to trim off some of it. You want to leave, I like to leave about a 1/4 inch or so of fat on it. So you're going to want a sharp knife when you do this. Briskets. Let's talk about briskets for a second. There's two parts of a brisket. You've got what's known as the flat, which is this piece down here. And then you've got the point, which is the big bulky side of it. Each has their own little properties. For instance, the flat here, it's what is great for sandwiches and things like that, because it slices so beautifully. Another thing you want to do, and it wastes a little bit of meat, but yeah, it's not a lot. You see when you get these little flats down here, well, just kind of want to square them off. Now you can take these, put them in the smoker, separate place, and call it the chef's cut. It'll get done a little quicker, and it's pure meat, and it's pure joy. Okay? Okay, that looks good. That looks good. Let's flip it over. Okay, most muscles, this comes from the chest of the cow. Most muscles have what's called silver skin. Silver skin is what makes meat not quite as enjoyable. Now, it's not just beef that has this. You also have pork has it, like if you do pork ribs, they have a silver skin on the bottom of them, inside the rib section. And you want to remove the silver skin, as much of it as possible. Okay, now take a look at the difference in the texture. The flat has really, really fine grain to it, where the point has more marbling in it, and it also is larger grain structure. Again, tastes great. Don't throw it away. Stick it on the smoker. Now, if you get your meats from a butcher will go ahead and trim all this off for you. They normally will charge a little extra because, well, now they got to open it and do some work on it. But I find it's easy to do, so I do it myself. One thing I do ask is if you like this video, please go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're not already a follower, please subscribe to my channel. I don't do majority of the cooking. It again is a lot of other things. My last video, I made a Iron Man and a Batman cowl helmet. Okay, and they are life size. Okay, so this big old chunk of fat, don't want it. There we go. There. So I'm going to take this, throw it away. These, let me see, I can trim this up a little bit more. Okay, so we got our meat trimmed. Okay, so let me get cleaned up a little bit and set up for the next step, which is the dry rub. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so we have gone through and we have gotten the brisket ready for seasoning. All right. If you want to use a pre-made seasoning, perfectly fine. A lot of people make them. You can buy them at the grocery store. You can buy them from Hay Grill Hay. But they're going to have things in them that you may not want. Preservatives and, monosodium glutamate, MSG. There's a bunch of things that you may not want on your meat or in your body. Excuse me. Had to get some jitter juice. I like making my own rubs. Now, for beef, you have 4 main ingredients in a dry rub. You have coarse ground black pepper, you have salt. Now I use sea salt. You can use kosher salt if you like. I just like the taste of sea salt. And it's a coarse ground also. And you want to use equal portions. Onion powder. And garlic powder. Now again, that's the basics. That is the basic ingredients for a beef dry rub. Now you can do what you want to it. You like a little heat? Add some chili powder. And you add as much as you want. Doesn't have to be an equal amount. It can be more. Or you can add chili powder or crushed red pepper flakes. You can add just about anything you want to this. It all depends on your taste and your family's taste. Okay, I'm going to mix that up real good. Yeah, use your fingers. Now, if you're doing a pork rub, most of the time people add brown sugar to this, or white sugar, depending on again, depending on their taste. I do like brown sugar in my pork rub. The only issue you run into there is it will clump, so you have to use it quickly. This, never go bad. Okay, so now, not all of that is going to go on that, okay? So what you're going to want to do, get yourself an old seasoning bottle. Perfect measurement. Beef rub. Okay. Now you know what, and if you want to, you can put the date on there. What is it? Today's 28th, isn't it? Yeah. 2/28/23. Okay, so the rub is ready. A lot of people don't do this next bit. I like it. I like the way it tastes. It doesn't add any overpowering taste to it, but it helps the rub to stick to the meat. And what that is, we're going to do a slather. Good old yellow mustard. Now the reason I haven't been using gloves before this is I'm making this for my family. If I was making this for friends or for a party or something like that, I would have been wearing gloves the whole time. Okay, so doesn't take a lot, just want to cover it. Again, this will help the rub to stick to the meat and give it a little tang. I like tang. See? I like tang. I know, dumb joke. Getting all the sides. Make sure everything is good and coated. Again, not overly coated. These, just use what I've got on my hand here. Okay, now we'll go with the rub. You want an even coat on this. You want it kind of thick. Earlier, when I was telling you that this is going to take about 18 hours, well, I was wrong. I went back into my notes and I started looking at it and I was thinking, you know, This is a little bigger than I normally would use. So a good school of thought on this is 90 minutes per pound. Okay? And if you do that, I trimmed off probably half pound of fat. So you look at this, it's a 14-pound roast. And that means it's going to take between 20 and 21 hours to cook. A lot of time. Like I say, not a fast process. Now, of course, these little pieces will cook a lot quicker. Probably be able to enjoy those tomorrow morning. Okay, so we now have more. Okay, so seeing as it's going to take, I'm going to say 20 hours to cook, I'm going to start this at about 10 o'clock tonight. It's 10 o'clock tonight will give me plenty of time. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, which would make it between, well, about 6 o'clock. So I might even start this at 9 o'clock. So it's ready about 5. The issue is it's not an exact science. The first smoke, there's 3 phases to this. The first smoke is going to be until it reaches an internal temperature in the point, the fat part of the meat, of 165 degrees. When you're cooking at 225, then it's going to take a long time for it to get there. I'm thinking probably until about noon tomorrow. What's going to happen is it's going to slowly cook on the smoker. It's going to hit temperatures about 145 degrees, and it's going to go into what's called the stall. You're going to look at it and just not changing. Goes up 2 degrees, goes back 1. Goes up 2, back 1. What's happening is the juices from the meat are coming to the surface, evaporating, cooling the meat. So it just kind of evens out for a while. Now, it takes a while for it to get through that stall, and you got to keep going until it hits 165 degrees. If you have a meat thermometer you can stick in it, plug it into your smoker like I do, and it will track the meat temperature for you. I also have an app on my phone for my smoker that will tell me when it gets there. So I'll get a notification like any app. Anyway, this is now ready to go on the smoker. I'm not going to start the smoker until about 8 o'clock. It takes a while to warm up because it is only heating up because of the wood smoke. I have pellet smoker. I will be using oak hickory mix. I find oak and hickory are great for beef. Pork, I like to have a lighter, like a pecan, something like that. And for chicken and ribs, I like to go even lighter yet and go for a like a fruit wood, apple, stuff like that. Okay, now my smoker is a Pit Boss Pro Series upright smoker. It's big enough where I could do 4 of these at a time. And the great thing is, if you're doing these for like a big party, I could put them all in at once and it'll take the same amount of time. So you can do 1 brisket in 20 hours, or you can do 4 briskets in 20 hours. So, you know, it's great when you have something big enough to do something like that. Okay, okay, I do think that's going to be it for right now. I will bring you back tonight when I go to put the meat on the smoker. Okay, it is 8 o'clock. I have just started the smoker. Look at that beautiful smoke coming out of there. It is currently at 55 degrees. It's got to work its way up to 225. As you can see, I'm using the Pit Boss Pro Series upright. I love this machine. I could literally do a bunch of it, of brisket in here. Another thing I want to show you, one of the things that you want to do with these is you want to protect them. Now, the meat is going to drip, and when it drips, it's going to cause issues. So I put tinfoil over the drip pan. Before I go to actually start doing the cooking, I'm going to put water down here so that it'll keep it somewhat moist. Okay, so I'm going to come back in probably 45 minutes. It should be warm by then. And see, it went from 55 to 65 real quick. Okay, I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so you saw me put the water into the pan down at the bottom. You can see right over here it is at 225 degrees. So now we'll put the brisket on. Put the little 2 itty bitty pieces on the top there. Okay. We are now set. Next time I look at this, it's probably going to be about 6 o'clock in the morning. It is 8:45 right now. Got to keep track on that drip pan, the water. You don't want that to go dry because it could cause a fire with the drippings that would go down inside. But now we're ready to go. Yeah, look at that. It's going to be good eating. That is for sure. Okay, see you in the morning. Okay, so one of the things you didn't see me do, and that was put the meat thermometer into the point of the brisket. Remember, that's a thick part. And it currently is at 65 degrees or 64 degrees, around there. So when that hits 165 degrees, that's when I take it out and go to the next step. Okay, see you in the morning. Good morning, everybody. It is 6 o'clock, or thereabout, 6:04. Went out and checked the brisket, and I overshot the mark a little bit. It's 174 degrees. I wanted to grab it about 165, but oh well, sometimes you miss it. Okay, next step is we're going to wrap this beauty. Take a look at that beautiful color. You can see the juices are starting to render out. But when we're done with this, the juice is going to be so juicy, you're not going to believe it. So, what are we going to do to wrap it? When I wrap mine, I wrap it in what's called peach paper. It's basically butcher's paper. It does have some other properties in that. It's a little bit more porous than butcher paper is, and the reason is for the peach paper is it allows the smoke to actually continue getting in towards the meat after you wrap it through the seams and stuff like that. The peach paper. You could use aluminum foil, but then all you're doing from that point on, from this point on, would be baking the brisket. So, what are we going to do here? Darn stuff has to lay flat. I have to be a little quiet because my wife is still asleep. There we go. Okay, so you take the brisket. And you put it at a little bit of an angle here. Hope I made these long enough. If not, oh, excuse me, stuff's cheap. And you start folding it over. Nice, beautiful little package. Put it back on there. Now remember those little pieces? Of course you did. It's only been about a second for you. Well, this is them. I don't know if you can see this. me bring it down here so you can see it a little bit better. Look at that gorgeous smoke ring. A little bit of fat there on the top. Look at all that juice that's still in there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's good. I'll be eating brisket for breakfast. Look at this. Ready? Look at all that juice. Okay, so brisket now goes back on the grill or the smoker until it reaches 201 degrees. That's the magic number for this stuff. Okay, so I'll see you later. Again. Okay, the brisket is back in the smoker, and so got another at least 6 or 7 hours for that to go. Now, you may be saying, whoa, if you go 7 hours, it's going to be 1 o'clock. Yes, you're right, it is. Once this part called the second smoke is finished, then you take it out of the smoker when it hits 201 degrees, and you put it in a cooler. You put some towels in the bottom of a cooler, put the brisket in, put a couple more towels on top, close the cooler, and you let it rest for at least 1 hour. This allows all those juices to start getting sucked back into the meat. And at that point, you can eat. In a cooler, wrapped in the peach paper, in some towels, it will stay hot for at least 2 hours. So I'm not worried about it. Okay. These little babies. Okay. Excuse me. Have you ever gone to a barbecue house or a steakhouse and you bought burnt ends? There's your burnt ends. It's the waste from a brisket, normally. You know, you can get tri-tip burnt ends, you can get, you know, all that stuff, but a true burnt end is from the brisket, and it's the trimmings. It's what was cut off. When I take it out of the smoker and ready to slice it later, I'll be cutting off the ends to clean it up, and I'll have more burnt ends. But these are the ones, remember those little flaps? Okay, well, that's where these came from. And I'm going to eat them. Okay, first, I need to tell you, what am I going to do with dinner? I'm going to make a cornbread. I'm just going to use Jiffy, you know, the cornbread mix. Except I'm going to doctor it up. I'm going to add some diced green chilies, a can of cream corn, some shredded sharp cheddar cheese. Mix that in with the regular cornbread mixture, bake that off, and that's going to be that's going to go with dinner. Also, I'm going to go ahead and make some baked beans. Those are easy. You know, it's I didn't soak any beans overnight. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and use canned Great Northerns. I'll put those in a pot. I'll take mix them with brown sugar, molasses, chili powder, touch of cayenne pepper. I'll cook off some onion, put that in there, and then I'll top it off with bottled barbecue sauce. I personally like Sweet Baby Ray's. I think it's got a good taste, good texture, and that will help bring that barbecued baked bean goodness to the table. Okay, so it's going to be at least another 6-7 hours, and but I will see you. Hi everybody. Okay, the brisket is resting here in my cooler, and it's getting close to time to eat. So I'm going to go ahead and start the cornbread and the baked beans. I told you earlier I was going to go ahead and use Jiffy box mix, but I'm going to doctor it up. Okay, 1 box Jiffy, 1 egg, third cup of milk, mix that together. Okay. So I'm going to put a half a can of whole kernel corns in here. Normally I would use cream corn, but the store was out of it. Half a can of green chilies. Some honey. I like the honey in it because it gives a nice sweet taste to it, and it really doesn't affect the moisture content. There's a goner. And a little bit of cheddar cheese. Okay, mix it to combine. got my oven over there heating up to 400 degrees. Now, sometimes I use lard when I do this, but I happen to have bacon fat. Can't go wrong with bacon fat. Getting low on bacon fat. I'm gonna have to cook up some more bacon, darn it. Ugh, I hate it when I have to do that. You always want to let the batter sit for a couple minutes. Let it bind up a little bit. And then we'll take it and pour it in the pan. Now this won't be real thick as far as, you know, the distance, but it will be good. Okay, so waiting for that to still warm up, so I'll go ahead and put this over here temporarily. Stuff away. Okay, and we'll start getting ready for the baked beans. I do print out recipes, and I got this from Hay Grill Hay. It calls for jalapenos. My stomach can't always take jalapenos, so I'm using diced green chilies. Oh. Stick that in the oven. Set it for 15 minutes. And we'll go from there. Okay. While those are draining, I'll go ahead and cut up the onion. Need about a cup of this according to the recipe. It says 1 medium, and this is about a medium, so that's about good. Okay, secret to dicing onions. No tears. Because I use a sharp, sharp knife. Okay, so okay, so let's see here. Let's put you. Okay, so we gotta cook up the veggies. Need a nice hot pan, and once again, I'm gonna use bacon grease to cook off the onions and the green chilies. I love bacon fat. So that's the 1 can and the leftover from the cornbread. So 1.5 approximately. don't really want to saute these. Basically, all you're trying to do is sweat them out and make them tender. Don't forget to season. Little bit of salt and pepper. Just as those are finishing up, you're going to want to add the garlic to it. Now, you don't want to add garlic too fast or too soon because garlic has a tendency to burn really quick. And we start adding the rest of the ingredients. There's the beans. Didn't realize how hard my brown sugar was. I bought some new stuff. Cup of barbecue sauce. Check the cornbread. Couple more minutes. Nah, I don't like the way the outside's cooking. Okay, so that's good. And I got to turn the oven down to 275. Now it's starting to get that color in there. This recipe calls for 1 cup of dark soda. She says Coke, Dr. Pepper, something like that. So we'll add that to it. Okay. 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. Couple tablespoons of Dijon mustard. Couple tablespoons of molasses. And a couple tablespoons of tomato paste. Some salt. Some pepper. Now, that's what the recipe says. Okay. There's not going to be any kick to this. It's going to be one-dimensional. It's going to be beans and chili, and it's going to be sweet. I like a little bit of heat with my beans. So, I am going to add a little bit of red pepper flakes. Now this goes a long way. You don't need a lot. You don't want a lot of heat, just a little. And some liquid smoke. One last thing, a little bit of what's this here sauce. That gives it body. Do a quick taste. Them is good beans. Oh yeah. Turn off the heat. Put on the lid. And it says to bake for an hour. Well, since the oven is started at 400, has to cool down to 275. I don't think I'm going to give it an hour. I think it's going to be closer to about a half hour. Then I'll taste it, check it, and it's got to be just basically thickening up. Okay, I'll be back when it's time to slice the meat. Okay, let's see what we've got here, okay? By the way, cornbread, I could say it wasn't real thick, but it turned out real nice. Okay, just wanted to tell you, I messed up on my timing. It is right now, 10 minutes to 5. I was planning on this be done at between 5:30 and 6 o'clock. I actually had to pull it out of the smoker around noon. And since then, it has been sitting in an igloo cooler, towel on the bottom, this towel right here on top, and it's still 140 degrees. So that tells you how long this stays warm for. Okay, so let's get it out of here. Of course it's going to do this to me. So much for being clean and tidy. I need to get the paper out from underneath it. Okay. Okay. Look how juicy that is. We've got, again, 2 sections to it, 2 of them. You got the point, you got the flat. This is all one muscle group. The flat, the grain goes like this. The point, the grain goes like this. You got to cut it against the grain in order for it to be tender. So, one thing you have to do, make sure your knife is sharp. And separate the 2 halves. Okay, so can you see how juicy that is? That's going to be good eating, guaranteed. So take this, move it off to the side a little bit. Now, another thing that you want to look at is these edges. Once again, they're considered the burnt ends. Take those off. Take that off. Not even cutting, it's just falling apart. Okay. Put the burnt ends on the old serving tray. Don't need this anymore. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut it. Now, like I say, you can see how the grain goes. It goes like this. And you want to cut it against the grain. I'm going to take off a little bit more of this here fat. There's the meat. Oh yeah. Mmm. Mm, 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 mm. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's still the steam coming off of this flat. Oh my God, that was good. Take that and put it over here. Oh, it's in the way. Okay, you couldn't see where I put this in there. This is actual meat from the flat. Now we're going to cut up the point. Again, you got some burnt ends here. Yeah, these aren't really burnt ends, but they're not hard. You'll notice burnt ends normally have crust to them. And this one has no crust whatsoever. So I'm not going to worry about it. Again, with the point, grain goes that way. So come over here. Ooh, look at that big old chunk of fat I left in there. A brisket in a sandwich with the leftovers. You can go ahead and make other things. For instance, next time I make chili, instead of stew meat or ground beef or something like that, I may go ahead and throw some brisket into it. Hamburger helper. I eat a lot of hamburger. We eat a lot of hamburger helper here because we like it. And instead of ground beef, we say you can't throw, you know, chop up some of this brisket and throw it in with the hamburger helper instead. Oh gosh, mac and cheese. Sure, use it in mac and cheese. Yeah, that's good. That's got a big flat on it. Okay. Let me wash my hands. Okay, so let's see how these beans look. Now those, some good looking beans. Okay, so do some serving. Okay. I'm gonna start my wife off with a little bit of flat and a little bit of point. Give her a couple burnt ends. Now she probably won't eat all this. She's not that big of an eater. Give her a chunk of cornbread. And a bowl of beans. There we go. A nice little meal. It only took 20 hours. Probably would have only taken 17. I probably could have been good at. But it's tastes excellent, looks great, and I think anybody would be happy to eat it. If you like this, please hit the thumbs up down at the bottom. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to try and do some more cooking along with my other projects. But it really wasn't that difficult to do. Anybody can do it. Go back or go onto the internet and check out heygrillhey.com. Get a whole bunch of recipes. It's a great site. They do sell some wonderful products. They sell sauces and rubs and just about anything. So, thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful day. Oh, down below I'm also going to put my email address if you want to get a hold of me. And please make some comments. I enjoy reading them, see what I could have done different. Okay? Hey, thanks a lot.